the overseas abort sites in Spain and France, which would be used in the event of an engine failure early in Discovery's climb to orbit. Morón, Spain is considered the prime transoceanic abort site today for Discovery and its crew. At launch, the shuttle will be sent aloft on the collective power of its 3 liquid fuel main engines and its twin solid rocket boosters, combining for a total of 7 million pounds of thrust. About 30 seconds into the flight following its roll maneuver, the computers will throttle Discovery's main engines down to 72% of rated performance, designed to lessen aerodynamic forces on the shuttle's fuel tank and the orbiter's aero surfaces. The engines will throttle up to 104% of capability about 40 seconds later. Shortly after solid rocket booster separation, the orbital maneuvering system engines will ignite for 1 minute 52 seconds, providing an assist for the shuttle as it heads uphill. A little less than 6 minutes into the flight, the onboard computers will command the shuttle's main engines to swivel, allowing Discovery to roll to a heads-up position above its fuel tank. That maneuver allows Discovery to gain more favorable communications with the tracking and data relay satellite system. About 8.5 minutes after launch, the main engines will be commanded to shut off, and the shuttle will separate from its fuel tank. Discovery will settle into an elliptical orbit about 135 statute miles above the Earth at its apogee, which will be refined to a higher elliptical orbit above the Earth about 45 minutes into the flight through a firing of the shuttle's orbital maneuvering system engines. Additional rendezvous maneuvers will be executed over the course of the next 2 days, bringing Discovery to a docking with the International Space Station on Wednesday night. Seconds after discarding the fuel tank, Commander Rick Sturckow will execute a maneuver to enable Discovery's umbilical well cameras to capture flash photography for about 20 seconds, with that photography concentrated on the tank's ice frost ramps. This is being done since handheld digital still photography and video will not be attempted with Discovery flying in darkness after main engine cutoff. The flash imagery will be downlinked prior to the start of the crew's sleep period for analysis. The 7 crew members will go to work shortly after the shuttle's payload bay doors are open, activating systems, unstowing gear, and preparing for their first 8-hour sleep period in orbit, which will begin just after 7 a.m. Central Time. Again, just 5 days shy of the 25th anniversary of Discovery's maiden launch, the ascent team and Flight Director Richard Jones are set to take over control of the 37th flight of the shuttle fleet leader and the 128th mission in shuttle program history at solid rocket booster ignition. At T-minus 9 minutes in holding, this is Mission Control Houston.
Thank you, Rob. We have about 39 minutes, 41
And pack console and safety console in today.
Safety.
Yes, I can give you step 1062, closeout cruise at AB11.
Safety copy.
And pack console, you copy?
Pack copy.
Thank you, Rob. We have about 39 minutes remaining in this built-in hold at T-minus 9 minutes, and we're looking at a view on NASA television that's a little bit misleading with the flames in the background from the flame stack. It's hydrogen burning off. That is not coming from Space Shuttle Discovery. However, what is not an optical illusion is the rain that can be seen clearly blowing into the area and dousing Launch Pad 39A. At this time, Shuttle Weather Officer Kathy Winters and her counterparts in Houston at the Spaceflight Meteorology Group continue to assess weather for launch and for landing.
9:35 to you, non-essential personnel clear of the LVA and the CCF.
With launch scheduled for 1:36 a.m. and about a 5-minute launch window, a lot needs to happen between now and then in order to make a launch attempt this evening.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Currently for Kennedy, we are red for anvil clouds, field mills, lightning, cumulus clouds, and flight through precipitation rules. We are clearly no-go for a launch, and we are clearly no-go for landing at this time. So we'll have to keep assessing it. Flight Director Richard Jones and Launch Director Pete Nikolenko were sharing a conversation, and both agreed that we'll carry this as long as we can to make sure that we are not missing an opportunity that might suddenly develop tonight. The weather is dynamic It's not been behaving the way that it was forecast. There's always the potential that it will clear as rapidly as it developed.
Compartment, MLP2 compartment 33A, they've lost their pressure. They think it's due to a sense line with water intrusion. They have good pressures on the other compartments. 43 Alpha at 8.04 inches, and 10 Bravo has 8.25 inches.
And SPNTD?
NTD, SP's with you, Charlie.
And we now have a violation for Kennedy of the sealing. We have a sealing violation, so we are now red for that as well.
Instrumentation, or have you actually lost pressure there? You believe it's instrumentation, is that correct?
I believe it. I'm not sure if it's instrumentation. I'll have to go back and check that for sure. They believe it's due to a sense line, though, and I'll go back and check that with them.
Okay, and you have good pressure indications in the surrounding compartments, is that correct?
That's affirmed, yes, ma'am.
All right, so I would assume that that is instrumentation. And you said no LCC and no hold required, is that right?
Yes, ma'am, that's affirmed.
And let's see, SPE.
SP's with you.
Yes, sir. Your thoughts on this issue with MLP compartment 33A?
Well, Charlie, as long as we're getting good pressure into the MLP as a whole, and the other MLP compartments that are near it are still showing good, I tend to agree with the assessment that it appears to be an instrumentation problem. Certainly could be an instrumentation dropout or maybe related to the weather that we're having. But I'd let the STM folks go off and finish their assessment and then come back and let us know what their final recommendation is. But with only that one compartment giving us an issue, I don't see it as being a constraint to continuing.
All right, and let's see, SPE, do you want an integrated IPR on this?
I think